So this section is going to explain to you MAP test, MAP data. If you have a child in 2nd grade, anywhere through 8th grade, this section's for you. So I'm going to explain very briefly what a MAP test is, and I'm going to then walk through with you the report you're going to have. So MAP testing, I'm often asked, is it a standardized test? So unlike a standardized test, MAP is a test that's administered more than once throughout the school year, and it is an adaptive test, which means that it adjusts to your child's performance while they're taking that test. So if you can kind of think back to when you were in school, you took standardized tests in the classroom. Your teacher probably handed everybody like a test booklet. You got a Scantron sheet, a number 2 pencil. Everyone took the same test. You kind of paged through that, wrote down your answer in the bubble. Then it was sent off for testing, or for scoring, excuse me, and your parents got the results back. MAP testing is different in that students take it on a computer, and it's going to, your child's questions are going to be based on the response to previous questions. So here's how it works. If I'm a 2nd grade child, every 2nd grader is going to sit down and have the same first question for their math and for their reading. It's a multiple choice question or answers on that question. And then based on how the child answers that first question, that's going to determine what the next question that they're presented with is. And then based on how they answer that question comes the next question. The test is trying to find out where their instructional level is at. So they may be a 4th grader, but their instructional level may be at the 6th grade level. They may be a 4th grader and their instructional level is at a 1st grade. So the paper booklet tests, they don't have that ability to do that, where MAP does. And that's why we find it so powerful and useful for us at our school. It's to see where they're performing at. Sometimes we look at it as how smart is my child, but it's really where are they performing at that moment in time. What do they need? What skills do they need reinforced? What holes are there in their education? And then we as a school can say, okay, this is the content we need to push to them, or here's the interventions we need to do to get them to be at grade level, or where are we going to support them if they're at the higher level. Kind of a Cliff Notes version of the MAP. So you are going to receive a report. Your child's teacher will email that report to you by Tuesday of conference week. And the report that you're going to get, I'm going to share it with you now, a sample report. Here we go. And let me make this a little bigger for you. I'm going to scroll up to the top. So you'll have this report. It's a 7-page report, 7-page document. On the front, it'll have your child's name right here. And then it's going to show you the different sub areas. Now, if your child's in 2nd grade, your report will be a little bit shorter because your child only takes a math and reading test. Everybody else in the school, every other grade, will take an additional test in language arts. So I'm going to walk through a couple things here. So on your report, your child's name would typically be in this black section. They'll have their grade level here. This area, this tells you the subject area. This will tell you the standard of error of their score. This big number over here is their Writ Score. It's think of it as like a growth chart of their achievements. And this will tell you the date they took the test and the number of minutes it took to complete the test. The math test has, I believe it's 52 questions on that math test. So this child took that test in 39 minutes. This tells us whether your child guessed on the test at any portion of the time. Another beautiful part of this test is that because 3.5 million tests were analyzed and it's on the computer, they have data as to how long it should take students to answer questions, or the time between questions. And if a child starts to just click on things, or that time isn't within the normal average, the test will be signaled, it'll be signaled that that child's probably guessing. And then the proctor is made aware of that, and you can go have a conversation with that child. This child did not guess at all, and if they would have guessed, this would tell us what the probable impact is on this score. So let's say it's 2%. It means that this could be 2% higher or lower based on the fact that we think they were guessing. In this area. So this will tell us over here on the left the different areas that it's going to be measuring. So it's going to measure their achievements as well as how much growth they have made. Now, if you are a second grade parent, you're not going to have growth because your child's never taken this test. So there's nothing to compare it to. If you have a third or higher, it's going to compare the last time they took this test to this test. So everyone at Lemon Christie, the last time they took a MAP test was the fall of 2019. So this child, their current test compared to where they were in the fall in math, they did not grow as much as they were predicted to grow. So they are in the 25th percentile for growth. So it's considered low growth for that child. Child's a high achiever, so they have a high achievement score. They're in the 65th percentile for achievements. This middle area is going to show you their RIT number for the instructional areas that are tested within the subject area of math. So there's 4 areas in which questions are categorized. The first is number and operations. The second is geometry types of questions. This third area is going to be algebraic thinking, solving equations, things like that. And then the fourth area is measurement and data. So it'll indicate which is your child's strength, and you can see that it's indicated that this measurement and data is the strength. And there are no winter growth goals set yet. The reason being our tests are, as of this taping, are still open because we are just finishing up the testing fall season. Once we store those results, then goals are set based on where they're performing at. So this child is a 205, and you'll see this is green. You can see this little kind of ruler-ish measurement. If a score is blue, it means they are high average. Green would be above average. Yellow is average. Orange is below average, and then red is significantly below average. So you can kind of color code to see where your child's at. The second page of the report is going to show you the math data, and it's going to show you, again, growth over time. Second graders, you won't have this. Third and higher will have a chart. Obviously, 8th grade, your chart will be bigger because your child's taken many, many tests during their time at Lemon Christie. I'll walk through this with you as well. So you can see on this chart, this percentile band section helps you to see percentiles where those children are at. So if you have a red score, it means they're in the 1st to 20th percentile. Down here, it lists the different testing seasons. So this child's first test was in the fall of 2018, and that child scored a 178 on the math test. And you can see at that time, they were in the 41st to 60th percentile. They're actually at the top part of that there. And then the next test that child took was in the spring of 2019, and they were at 193. They made a lot of growth that year, and they were almost in the green. And then we took that child, that was their spring test, excuse me, the spring of 2019. Then they took a test in the fall, and they went from being average, high average, to in that green section. They went from yellow to green. So that child made a lot of growth. And then we can see from last fall to this fall, there's still growth that was made because we can see they went up. But if you can see the angle, or the slope, excuse me, of this section here, it's a much steeper slope than this one. So they should have been continuing on that same slope up, and they didn't. So although there's growth, it's not as much as it was predicted to be. So not a concern. The child's still in the green section, which is great. They're still above average, not as above average as they were last fall, but they're doing well. And this map is going to predict what a winter test score would look like and what a spring test score. So if they stay on this path, they'll end up here in the spring. It has the same information on every single page. Now, this is the reading test. Again, you can see this child. Visually, it's yellow, so as a parent, I'm like, okay, they're average. If you look over here, you'll see they're at the 56th percentile. So they're at the high end of average. I can see this child's growth. Oh my gosh, they were above average in their growth. So they were in the 77th percentile for growth. That's way above average for kids that were at the same level this child was last year. This area, I'm going to call this out to you. So again, for reading, there's going to be different areas within that content area that are instructional. So when kids are taking tests, the test questions are categorized into different sub areas. So this specific area is an area of focus for this child. So it's a low, you can see they're 199, but in that key ideas and details, when we're reading informational text, that child is struggling in that area. They're 189. Their strength area would be vocab. So look at that. They have a 221. That's a huge, huge difference in their vocab. So strong vocabulary. So again, as a teacher, we'll be thinking, okay, we need to do some interventions here, or a little bit more focus on when we're reading informational text, how do we have that child be able to pull out the key ideas from that, what they're reading? One other area on the reading specifically, this is a number that is important for you to know as a parent. So this is their Lexile number. It's a range of text complexity. So what types of books should that child be reading? Are they ready for chapter books? Are they ready for really tough books? Every book that you pick up will have a Lexile number on it. And any book within this range will be a book that is one in which your child can read that book. If you would pick up a book of a Lexile of 800, that child would be really struggling and be frustrated. If you're picking up a 300 Lexile, it's going to be a super easy book. So books in here are going to continue that growth. It's going to continue to challenge them, but not be too hard where they're frustrated. In my email today, I have a link to a website called Lexile.com. And on that website, you can enter your child's Lexile range. You can pick their interest area, and it'll give you a whole list of books that may be suitable for your child. Give you a picture of the book, a summary. I think also a link to order the book from Amazon if you want. And then this is, again, that chart, so we can see this kid. Holy cow, I'm a data person, I love this, but look at that. They made huge growth from the fall to just the winter. So that was in a couple months. They made great growth, more growth, and they kind of fell. And now again, they're back on that path. So this child is almost into the green, high achievement. So that's a little sampling or a snapshot of the report. I hope you found that helpful. Again, you will get this on before parent-teacher conferences. Take a look at it, and it'll help you to kind of frame where your child's performing at to help those conversations with your child's teacher.